Welcome to the Double Vision podcast. We are identical twin sisters who grew up with a rare retinal condition, which basically means we've had to do a lot of adapting. My name is Jenelle, and I'm the oldest by 4 whole minutes, so naturally I get to go first. And I'm Joy. A lot of our life has been problem solving, a lot of feelings, and realizing that we're probably not the only ones navigating this. I work as a therapist, and I tend to slow things down and look for what's steady underneath it all. And I'm a writer and creative. I have a background in education, and I navigate the emotional journey in real time. She does, and we balance each other out. Jenelle keeps one foot on the ground, and Joy keeps things honest and alive. On Double Vision Podcast, we talk about the social and emotional experience of being in a body. The stuff we all deal with: identity, belonging, and self-trust. We talk about anxiety and overthinking and what it looks like to advocate for yourself and keep going, even when it's hard. We make space for the parts that don't show up on paper but shape our whole lives. If you've ever felt like you're trying to figure out how to be yourself out loud, you're in the right place. Hello, this is Jenelle and Joy, and today we're going to give an intro for this 2-part episode with an incredible guest. I'm so excited about this conversation, and really, we decided to have her as a guest because this month, May, is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Joy and I recognize that mental health is so much more than just coping tools and techniques. And recently, Joy introduced me to audio descriptions, which helps with a sense of belonging and enjoyment in life. Like, joy is such an important part of life, and entertainment is part of that. We learned so much from this guest, and that's why we ended up making it a 2-part series. But this first part is really focused on the really interesting world of something that Jenelle and I have never been to. We've never been to a live audio described performance. And again, for people who aren't sure what audio description is, you know how there's the captions for people who can't hear as well? I think everybody uses those now, but you might not be as aware of another setting that says audio descriptions. But if you click on it, you're able to hear a description that's kind of woven in to any TV or movie. And for most popular shows now, they always have it. And good audio description, it doesn't take away from the show. It actually really adds to it. And people can use it even who are not visually impaired, just for some extra description. I know my husband's always saying that. He's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that happened until it was described. Yeah, like I think both of our families end up having the audio descriptions on even when we're not home sometimes, because they find it either helpful or it just doesn't bother them. It actually enhances what they're watching. And as part of this conversation that we're about to share with you, we learned that Krishna Washburn is offering a free audio description class that starts this Saturday, May 30th. And she only offers this once a year. And it's for anyone who is interested in learning more about this career path. You can have a background in the arts, or you can be totally new, it sounds like, to this world. Just have an interest. Yeah. So we're really excited. It's a free class, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about that and a whole bunch of other interesting things that I had never heard of before when it comes to audio description and accessibility, because that's really what it's about. And that's really the impact on our mental health and the mental health of people with disabilities, is to have that access to not only things like careers and food and all the basics, but also things such as entertainment, going to shows together, being part of the dance world. I think that was the thing that stuck out to me the most, that there's this whole dance world, this culture of dance that people who are professional dancers are aware of that I wasn't, and then a subculture of that of blind dancers. And that was really fascinating to me because it's a whole culture in and of itself. Today, we're joined by Krishna Washburn, founder and artistic director of Dark Room Ballet, an internationally recognized blind-led arts organization serving blind and visually impaired artists around the world. Krishna is a ballet educator, audio description specialist, and curriculum developer whose work centers on blind-centered pedagogy, accessibility, embodied learning, and the advancement of blind artistry within the performing arts. Over the course of a remarkable career, Krishna has trained more than 1,500 dancers, from complete beginners to professional performers, many of whom had never previously received instruction designed specifically for blind bodies and non-visual learning. Through Dark Room Ballet, Krishna has developed tuition-free collegiate and pre-professional arts training for blind and visually impaired adults, including ballet, choreography, anatomy, movement studies, and audio description for dance, all taught through blind-led methodologies and non-visual approaches to learning. Krishna also trains audio describers and blind consultants working in the performing arts and is contributing to the upcoming Oxford Handbook of Ballet Pedagogy. Krishna, welcome to the show, and we'd love for you to introduce yourself to our listeners today.
This is Krishna. I'm reporting from New York City, Lenape-Ho-King. And I'm a ballet teacher, and I'm an audio description teacher, and I'm a blind professional dancer.
This is Joy, and I heard about the Dark Room Ballet Theater from a good friend. And then when I had my initial registration Zoom with you, Krishna, I was struck immediately by your presence. And I mean, that can even come across over Zoom, and that I was really surprised. I actually became kind of emotional during our conversation, and I didn't expect that. I just thought it was going to be this registration and kind of, business as usual. And I think it was when you brought up during our conversation the idea of audio description for dance, which I was somewhat familiar with because I had hired describers to describe my daughter's dance performances, just the videos, and then I would have to put my ears in and try to press play at the same time she started dancing and hope that she was doing the things they had described. But then you started telling me that there was one of the top 5 audio describers in the world at the Pacific Northwest Ballet Theater in Seattle, where my daughter goes to school, and that I could go to one of those performances with my daughter and enjoy that. And I don't know why, but I became very just emotional at the thought of enjoying a dance performance live with her and knowing what was going on and being able to enjoy it and take it in. And you had shared a little bit about your experience viewing Swan Lake for the first time. So I'm wondering if you might be able to share what that was like for you, and then kind of just the idea of what audio description has opened up for the dance world.
Audio description for dance is still something that is extremely rare. Now, when I started to go to dance performances here in Manhattan, where I live, where, like once in a green moon, there will be an audio described performance available. Like, for quite a long time, I was just like, oh, they thought about me. Like, just the fact that it existed was enough. Just the fact that I had been part of their thought process, even for a split second, because I had felt so unwelcome in my own world, in the dance world. Like, I was the life of the party until they kicked me out, kind of thing. And I used to just be thrilled, no matter what it was that I heard. This story I'm about to tell happened a very long time ago. But this is how I became radicalized, right? A friend of mine had season tickets for Alvin Ailey at City Center, which is the gorgeous theater across the street from Carnegie Hall, up on 56th Street. That's also where Ballet Arts, the oldest ballet dance studio in New York City, is. It's all in the same little spot. And I also used to teach at that Kaplan Center on the same block. So this is home. And
Mhm.
so I go and I'm like, oh my God, they're going to give me the headset. And I was psyched, especially since like I had already been back in ballet class and everything. And I had been studying with the late, great Janet Panetta, her course, ballet for professional contemporary dancers. She is deeply missed in dance community. And I used to take that class with a former Ailey company member who was a friend of mine. And I told him, I'm like, listen, I'm going to get to go. I'm going to get to go to performance and there's revelations there. And he was like, oh, this is going to change your life.
Mm.
And I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Here I go. I get my little headset. I'm up in the parterre, right? So I'm not in the orchestra. I'm way too far away to hear footfalls or anything like that. I understand the parterre is where you want to be if you're a sighted person and you want a full view of the stage, but like, that's not me. So I'm sitting there with the headset on, and I don't think that we were 5 minutes into the performance before the people sitting around me started crying. And I'm not talking about like neat, cute little tears. I'm talking Kim Kardashian ugly cries. Like I'm talking really, really crying. And they started
Mhm.
passing a box of tissues down the aisle because
Mhm.
everyone was crying. And I didn't know why.
Mm.
And I tried really hard to figure out what it was based on what I was listening to. And it just struck me in that moment. I'm not hearing the show. I'm
Mhm.
hearing something else.
Mm.
I'm being denied the information that matters here, obviously.
Mhm.
And it was as if something had erupted inside me. I was fully radicalized.
Mm.
In one night, I went from being a very well-behaved blind person to being a pain in the ass like that. In, split second, I transformed. I went to like the old Gibney building, 890 Broadway. I went to Janet's class. I spoke with my friend. I'm like, listen, this is what happened. And he was really upset at what I described. He's like, that's what you heard that's not Mr. Ailey's work. That's not the art I dedicated my life to. I'm really
Mm.
sorry that that's what you experienced. And he's like, come here, come here. And we go into like the hallway at Gibney 890. And like, this is such a New York dance person story, by the way. I know that you folks may not know, but like I am dropping all the names in all the places, and like this is just the vibe. There's like
You're
hundreds of
painting a
people just
picture, I
milling
love it.
around. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like everybody has no shoes on and like are half dressed and like covered in sweat, just like milling around all over the place. And we're on the floor, and he's like, "Okay, this is what actually happens." And he's like, dance with me. And I'm like, okay, okay. And I don't know, we probably had a crowd of at least 100 people watching us. But he only shared maybe 5 or 10 minutes of choreography with me, but I got more out of that than I did through the whole evening there at City
Wow.
Center. And I had to reflect on this really for years, about what had actually happened. And why did my experience with my friend give me something of value, but the audio description I heard did not?
Mhm.
And I gradually, over time, came to various conclusions that are really based in like artistic philosophy. Firstly, audio description as we know it today as a system that is used and that there are standards for was designed specifically for television, is based on the research of a graduate student from somewhere in California. I can't remember. His name was Gregory Fraser. His best friend was a Vietnam veteran who had experienced vision loss. And he's like, I want to watch TV with my best friend.
Hmm.
He deserves that. We deserve to be able to experience that together. I got no beef with Gregory Fraser, by the way. But he did very, very detailed research for years about how to create systems of description that would be effective and sufficient so that whomever was watching a television program would get the same show. And how he approached it was, what is the purpose of the show? What actually works? What are the missing pieces here? So he developed a system that functions quite well for television, I think we all agree.
Yes.
Sometimes it's different. I
It
mean,
depends on the audio describer.
yeah, there's layers of complexity here. There's always degrees of quality, but fundamentally, his principles are effective if applied well.
Yes. Yes.
And you actually have an actual audio describer who's actually educated doing the job. The problem is he did not live to be a particularly old person himself. He didn't really get to continue doing his work for nearly as long as he should have been able to. And what has happened in the wake of his passing is people who are attempting to create audio description for other forms of art and media are going about the process reverse than he did. He started out, okay, what is missing, what is needed here, and what would actually be effective? And then he created the list of principles. What people are doing now is they're just going directly to the list of principles without considering, wait a minute, what am I actually describing here? What is actually being presented? A dance performance is extremely different from an hour-long, like, TV drama. They're not similar at all. Like if you're watching Law and Order, right? You have actors that speak and have specific emotional intonations in their voices. You have a soundtrack that is balanced with the voices, that is meant to help guide you along through the emotional arc of the story. There is Foley that you can hear. If you are sitting too far away from the stage, you're not going to hear the dancers move. You just can't. You have to be very close to hear pretty much anything. And I know, Joy, you have been to a bunch of shows. You know that this is true. If you're not close enough, you're not going to hear. So what is missing, what is needed, the purpose of each individual dance performance, of which each one has a different purpose, by the way. You need a different kind of voice to do that audio description. You need a voice that actually sounds like the movements of the dancers. And you need explicit information about emotional content, because otherwise there is no way for you to receive it. When you listen to the audio describer saying, oh, and the dancers go right, and the dancers go left, that's not what the sighted people in the audience are getting. That's not what they're actually experiencing. If you speak to a sighted person about a dance performance that they watched 5 years ago, 10 years ago, they will remember almost no choreography. They will remember almost none of the movements that the dancers did, but they will remember crisp and strong how they felt emotionally, how they felt viscerally. At Pacific Northwest Ballet, Joy, you alluded to this before. Um, I was contacted by one of the folks there, Sarah Colat. Uh, I suppose this was late 2024, and she wanted to have assistance from me, like, how do we start an audio description program? And I'm like, you've come to the right place. So I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm teaching AD. My courses are tuition free. By the way, folks, every course offered by Dark Room Ballet is tuition free. Most audio description courses are like $500 an hour, and mine are free. So what are you
Incredible.
waiting for?
Seriously.
Sarah came and studied with me for quite some time, felt like, okay, now I understand how to collaborate with an audio describer, like a professional. And I was like, and I got the right person for you. I have an audio describer friend up there in the Pacific Northwest named Allison Osborne, truly one of the most gifted and skilled audio describers of dance in the world.
That's the name you gave me, so that's the performance I
Yes.
plan to go to, whatever one I
Go,
haven't gone yet, but
go,
I'm excited.
And I'm gonna go
do
with you,
it.
Joy.
Yes,
I'm
let's do it. We
excited.
should plan a
You
date with our
don't
daughters and
you won't regret it. You will have so much fun because what they do there is the thing you're supposed to do. Here's what normally happens, right? A dance company prepares a performance. Like 2 weeks out, someone wakes up from a dead sleep and goes, we're supposed to hire an audio describer, right? What even is that? I don't know. And so they go to one of the big audio description agencies where they dispatch audio describers who are trained for television and say, hey, could you show up for dress rehearsal the night before we open? And they're like, yeah, okay, sure. And maybe they get notes. Maybe they know what the performance is about. Maybe they just show up on the day of. That's not what they do at Pacific Northwest Ballet. Allison is a full member of the production team in the same vein as every other person. The dancers, choreographer, director, lighting designer, all the musicians, like fully integrated, gets to go to rehearsals, gets to call up Krishna and be like, hey, can you do consultancy? Is everything that I have here prepared? Is it all logical? Does it all make sense? Am I really getting across what this piece is about? And because I'm a dancer myself, and I'm a high prior knowledge audience member, like I can provide that kind of support. So then when you guys go, when Joy and Jenelle get to go to Pacific Northwest Ballet, what you get to hear is someone who knows the work just as well as the dancers on stage, knows how they feel inside as they are dancing, understands the full emotional arc of the piece, understands the purpose and the reason for the choreography. Because the choreography is not arbitrary, by the way, for those folks who don't know, especially not in ballet. And then you just get to be immersed and you have nothing to worry about. You're being taken care of. You're not there with the gears turning like, what's actually happening? What's actually happening? No, you know what's actually happening.
Mm.
And I start teaching again on Saturday, May 30th at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. That's going to be 5 consecutive Saturdays. And I only do this once a year, but you know, it is free. And I hope to get as many people as possible to come because I don't get opportunities to teach it that often.
do you have to have gone to the Intro to Ballet to do the audio description
No,
course?
no, no, no.
No, okay,
Anyone can take AD. Most
great.
people who take AD are not dancers. They are working professional audio describers or blind audio description consultants. But I actually highly recommend that dancers take it, as well as choreographers, teachers, and people who are regular audience members. because it really helps you understand how to listen critically, how to understand, like, what is dance as an art form? Like, why does it exist? Like, how does it function in different ways? And how language and movement can support one another. That's really what this is all about.
This is Jenelle. It's what you're describing, Krishna, reminds me of really how important accessibility is, and that true accessibility is baked in, not bolted on. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm hearing with you. This
Mhm.
is an integrated process from the very beginning. It's not an afterthought.
That is right. If you do it as an afterthought, what you will receive is always going to be, in some way, misleading or ineffective or both. And I just hate that.
This might be kind of a dumb question, but if you buy a ticket for an audio described show, you let them know that you need that and they give you the headphones, right? It's not like it's audio described for the whole audience, right?
It
It's just
depends. It depends on the performance. There is not uniformity. I think that's important also for me to mention. Um, if you find out that there, if, okay, here is the most promising scenario. When the performance description says, this is an audio described show, that is the one you buy the ticket for. And it is that language specifically. This is an audio described show. And if they list the name of the audio describer, you're good. Okay. You may receive a headset. You may also be attending what's called an open audio described performance, in which the audio description is piped through the same audio system as everything else. And everyone will be hearing it. It depends. It is different for everybody. You know, like different performing arts venues, like they would prefer not to invest the money in the headset and would rather invest in paying the audio describer instead. I'm fine with that. If you want to have like, oh, Friday is the day that is open AD night, and that's when the blind people come, I'm cool with that. That's fine by me. S- Uh, if it says the language, audio description available upon request, don't even go. That's not, you're not going to have a good time.
code
That,
for we're tagging it, we're bolting this on.
yeah, that means like the day after you buy your ticket, that's when they're going to contact an audio describer. It's not going to, don't do
Yeah,
that.
and honestly, this is Joy again, and I prefer the option, if given, of everyone listening to it, because it reminds me when I'm at home and we have the TV on or a movie or
Yeah,
anything, my whole family watches it with audio description, and they sometimes even when I'm not home, they do it now. I mean, it's like universal
yeah,
design where my daughter is in the kitchen baking and able to still enjoy the show with audio description on, so it's interesting how attached and used to it they are, and then I feel not so different and kind of removed, that sense of belonging is
yeah.
is important, so
And good AD does not detract from the show at all. It's only an enhancement, truly. If it all sounds beautiful, then what are we worried about? If there is a performing arts venue that just audio description is not on their radar, like they don't even think about it, that's not even something that they're aware of. That's one to tell us about here at Dark Room Ballet, because believe it or not, those are actually the institutions who are most open, usually, to beginning programs than the ones who say AD upon request, because they think they're done and they haven't
Mhm.
even started. So
Right.
if you know of a venue that they're like, what? There are blind people? What are those? Like, just let us know.
This is Joy, and this concludes part 1 of this conversation. Please come back next episode because we really dive into some beautiful topics, everything from what it's like to be a blind dancer in today's day and age, where accessibility is at and where we're going, art as a conduit for healing emotional trauma, and the part that memory plays in all of our stories. If you are interested in taking the audio description 5-week course that Krishna mentions, you can go to darkroomballet.com or you can email info@darkroomballet. Thank you for listening to Double Vision Podcast. If you found this valuable, we'd love for you to leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice or subscribe on YouTube. We'd also love for you to keep in touch with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram. And if you have an idea for an episode or something that you'd like to process, please feel free to leave us a voice message at 949-414-8336 or send us an email at mail@doublevisionblog.com.